Hey everyone, and welcome back to Grow to the Top. I'm so excited for this deep dive because we're going to be exploring something a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
We're diving into our very own audiobook.
Okay.
You're Not Shy: How to Master Emotional Intelligence and Social Skills by Tyler Andrew Cole. And it's published right here on the Grow to the Top YouTube channel.
Awesome.
No matter where you're at on your social skills journey, I think there's something really valuable in here for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think this book is a great resource for anyone who wants to build better relationships, communicate more effectively, and really just feel more confident in social situations.
Yeah, I agree.
We're going to break down each chapter and pull out the most practical insights. Consider this your shortcut to mastering emotional intelligence.
Love it.
And speaking of shortcuts, did you know we have a free bundle you can download?
No way.
The first link in the video description will get you the ebook and an executive summary. It even has study notes and key takeaways from every single chapter. If you want to dive right into the audio version, the second link will take you straight there.
Awesome.
All right, let's jump into chapter 1, starting with in. I love how this chapter sets the stage for the rest of the journey.
Yeah.
I think what's so fascinating about this chapter is the emphasis on self-compassion as the foundation for developing your social skills.
Yeah.
It's not about beating yourself up for past mistakes. It's about approaching this journey with kindness and understanding.
Sure.
Remember that woman in the cafe from the intro? She was intentionally working on herself.
Yeah.
I think she really embodies the spirit of what this book is talking about.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I think that's such a crucial starting point, especially for those who struggle with social anxiety.
Right.
It's easy to get into that trap of thinking, I'm just not a people person. But this book challenges that mindset and reminds us that social skills are learnable, just like any other skill.
Absolutely.
Right. And this is where the growth mindset comes in. Yeah. It's about shifting from I can't to I haven't mastered this yet, but I can learn.
I love that.
This chapter really lays out those 3 essential steps for embarking on this journey.
Which are?
Self-compassion, intentional goal setting, and daily practice.
Okay, let's unpack these.
Okay, so we've talked about self-compassion, but what does intentional goal setting look like in this context? Like, is it aiming to talk to a certain number of people every day?
It could be, but it's more about defining what you want to achieve with your social skills. Like, do you want to be more comfortable in group settings?
Okay.
Do you want to be a better communicator at work? Once you have those goals, you can break them down into smaller, more manageable steps. And that's where that daily practice comes in. It's about consistently making small efforts every single day, whether it's practicing active listening or using I statements, or even just putting yourself in social situations more.
It's like building a muscle.
Yeah.
The more we use it, the stronger, more natural these skills become.
For sure.
That's why I think that free bundle could be really helpful. Having the study notes and key takeaways there, it just makes it so easy to review the concepts and implement what you learn.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So chapter 2, Know Yourself, builds on that foundation we talked about by encouraging us to do a deep dive into self-discovery. You can't master social skills without understanding your own emotional patterns, triggers, and tendencies.
Right. It's like trying to navigate a maze blindfolded.
It is, yeah.
The book uses that analogy to illustrate how important self-awareness is.
Yeah.
Because without it, we're stumbling around, reacting impulsively, and often sabotaging our own efforts to connect with others. Knowing yourself is like taking off that blindfold. We can see the maze clearly and navigate it more confidently.
I love that analogy.
What are some practical tools the book suggests for developing self-awareness? Because I'm always looking for actionable strategies.
One that stood out to me was keeping an emotion journal. It's about tracking your emotional responses throughout the day and noticing the situations or words or events that trigger strong emotions.
Oh, I love that. It's like becoming an emotional detective.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out the patterns that drive your reaction.
Exactly.
And once we understand those triggers, we can manage them more effectively.
Yeah.
It's like becoming more conscious of your emotional landscape.
Right.
You can identify those early warning signs and develop coping mechanisms before things escalate.
For sure.
The book also suggests using the SWOT analysis for self-discovery. Wait, SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
Isn't that usually for business strategy?
You can use it for personal stuff too.
Oh.
In this context, it's about figuring out your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Okay.
But in the realm of social skills. So like your strengths might be that you're good at listening or storytelling.
Okay.
Your weaknesses might be interrupting people or being afraid of public speaking.
Okay. I see how that would be helpful. It's about getting a clear picture of where you're good and where you need to grow. And once you have that self-awareness, you can really focus on developing the areas you need to work on.
Yeah.
Knowing yourself better helps you to be more authentic. You can show up as yourself, without trying to be someone you're not.
Yeah.
And people are drawn to that authenticity.
For sure.
So chapter 2 is about laying that foundation of self-awareness.
Yeah.
It gives you the tools to get to know yourself better so you can be more authentic.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a reminder that personal growth and social skills are intertwined.
They are.
And chapter 3, Control Emotions, builds on that foundation by teaching us to be the captain of our emotional ships.
I like that.
It's about navigating through those emotional waters with grace and skill.
Yeah.
We've all been in those emotional storms, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Where our reactions get the better of us.
Right.
We say things we regret later. But this chapter is about learning to stay calm amidst the chaos.
For sure. It's about being present.
The book uses another powerful analogy. It compares it to a ship navigating a storm. And emphasizes that we can learn to be that calm amidst the chaos.
Yeah.
To navigate those challenging situations with more grace and clarity.
Yeah.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's not about suppressing your emotions, but learning to experience them without being overwhelmed.
Right. Exactly.
It's about not being controlled by your emotions.
Yeah.
And the book dives into mindfulness as a key tool for that, specifically mindful breathing.
Yeah.
Mindfulness has been such a game changer for me. Just taking a few deep breaths when I feel those emotions rising can really help me respond more thoughtfully.
For sure.
Is that what the book recommends?
Absolutely. It even walks you through some breathing and grounding techniques
Yeah.
to use when you feel your emotions escalating.
Alongside mindfulness, the book introduces cognitive reframing. Cognitive reframing.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
It's about challenging those negative thought patterns and replacing them with more constructive ones.
Give me an example.
So imagine you're about to give a presentation.
Okay.
And you're thinking, I'm going to mess this up. Everyone's going to judge me.
Okay.
That's a pretty catastrophic thought pattern.
Definitely. That would make me anxious.
And with cognitive reframing, you challenge those thoughts.
Okay.
Like, you might ask yourself, is there any evidence I'm going to mess up? Have I prepared well? Even if I make a mistake, is it really that big of a deal?
Okay, so it's about interrupting those negative spirals.
Exactly.
And replacing them with more realistic thoughts.
Right.
This seems like it would be really helpful for managing anxiety.
Absolutely.
The book also talks about recognizing the early warning signs of stress.
Yeah.
Things like a racing heart or tense muscles or maybe feeling irritable or a sense of dread. It's about tuning into those signals so you can manage them
Exactly.
before they take over.
That's a great way to put it.
And building emotional resilience is key too, right?
Yeah.
It's like an emotional savings account.
Yeah.
You deposit into the account through things like exercise and meditation or spending time in nature. And when those emotional storms hit, we have the reserves to get us through it.
I love that.
I love that analogy.
It's a powerful one.
So chapter 3 gives us this toolkit for managing emotions. It has things like mindfulness meditations, thought record sheets, and even personalized stress management plans.
Yeah.
It's all about becoming more emotionally intelligent.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about building self-compassion, understanding our emotional triggers, and learning how to manage our emotional responses. Now we need to step outside of ourselves and start understanding the emotions of others.
Right.
That's where chapter 4 comes in. Understand others. This is where things get really exciting because we're diving into the world of empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy is like a superpower, isn't it?
It is.
That ability to step into someone else's shoes, to see the world through their eyes and understand their feelings, even if you haven't had the same experiences as them.
It's crucial.
So how do we develop this superpower? Is it something we're born with? Or can we learn to be more empathetic?
The book says it's a skill you can develop.
Okay.
And it offers a lot of practical ways to do that. One of the key elements is perspective taking, which is the ability to step outside your own viewpoint
Okay.
and consider how someone else is experiencing something.
So it's about challenging those assumptions and recognizing that there's so many ways to see the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And along with perspective taking, the book talks about validation, which is acknowledging and accepting someone's feelings without judgment.
Right.
So it sounds simple, But it's so powerful.
It is.
You're creating a space where others feel seen and heard.
For sure.
Even if you don't agree with them.
Absolutely.
The book goes beyond just understanding emotions. It also dives into nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
Those silent signals, body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, they can communicate so much. It's like a secret language.
It is. It is.
The book breaks down those nonverbal cues from eye contact and posture to those subtle micro expressions that can reveal hidden emotions.
Yeah.
I find micro expressions so fascinating. There are those fleeting expressions that betray your true feelings, even if you're trying to hide them.
Exactly.
This book gives us the tools to decode those signals, right?
It does, yeah. It even suggests keeping a nonverbal cue journal so you can get better at understanding them.
Oh, cool.
And it talks about empathy sessions.
What's that?
Where you focus on listening and understanding the other person.
Okay.
You really try to step into their shoes and see things from their perspective.
These are fantastic ideas. It's about becoming more observant.
Yeah.
More attuned to those subtle cues that can reveal so much.
Absolutely.
And the book outlines some potential outcomes from developing these skills. So a good outcome would be recognizing basic emotions. An excellent outcome would be skillfully interpreting those social cues.
Yeah.
And the best possible outcome, I bet, it's being able to form those deep empathetic connections.
Yes.
And anticipate others' needs. It's not just reading emotions, but understanding why people act the way they do.
You got it.
You nailed it. It's about reaching that level of understanding that transforms your relationships and makes you a more compassionate and effective communicator.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we've gone from understanding our own emotions to decoding the emotions of others. And we're starting to build that foundation for genuine connection.
Yeah.
So what's next? Do we start building rapport now?
You read my mind. Chapter 5, build rapport. It's all about creating those instant connections.
Okay, everyone wants to know the secret to that. Tell me the book has the magic formula.
Well, it might not be magic, but it does break it down into actionable steps. It all starts with authenticity, being genuine in your interactions, letting your true self shine through.
Okay, so it's about dropping the act and showing up as your true self.
Exactly.
And that's how people connect with you on a deeper level.
Yeah.
And along with authenticity, the book talks about finding common ground. We're drawn to people who were similar to us, right?
Yeah.
Even those small similarities, like shared interests, experiences, or even humor.
Yeah.
Those can be powerful connection points.
For sure.
So be curious about others. Ask questions to find those shared experiences.
Yeah.
And really listen to their answers.
For sure.
It's about finding those threads that connect us.
Exactly.
And then there's the technique of mirroring. You ever heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
It's about subtly matching someone's behavior, like their body language, tone of voice, even their words, to create that sense of familiarity and comfort.
Exactly.
It's like signaling to them that you're on the same wavelength.
I like that.
You nailed it. The book breaks down how to mirror effectively.
Right.
Without being creepy about it.
Right.
You're trying to find that sweet spot where you're being genuine, but also creating that sense of connection. So authenticity is the foundation. Finding common ground is the bridge.
Yeah.
And mirroring is that little nudge to deepen the connection. I'm starting to see how these all fit together.
You're getting it.
And the book says active listening is super important for building rapport.
Yeah.
It's not just hearing the words, it's making them feel heard and valued.
Exactly.
You have to put down your phone, make eye contact, and be present.
Absolutely.
You're listening to understand, not just to respond.
I love that.
Exactly.
Chapter 5 has some great exercises for rapport building.
Yeah.
Things like mirroring role plays
Okay.
and active listening drills.
Okay.
It even challenges you to find 3 things in common with someone new within the first few minutes of meeting them.
It's a fun game.
It is.
It's like a treasure hunt for rapport. I love how the chapter outlines the potential outcomes of these skills too.
Yeah.
So you start by establishing those comfortable interactions. Then you build trust and rapport quickly.
Right.
And you form those lasting connections that can turn into meaningful relationships.
It's a great progression.
It is.
The chapter even talks about the pitfalls.
Oh, yeah.
Like seeming insincere or misaligning with their communication style. It gives you tips for those challenges, like authenticity and being adaptable.
Okay. So it's about reading those cues and adjusting your approach.
Right.
It's about being attuned to the other person and responding in ways that are respectful.
For sure.
Okay, so we've covered those foundational skills.
Yeah.
And now we're ready to tackle a topic everyone hates, conflict.
Oh, I know.
It can be so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But this book says it's an opportunity for growth,
Okay.
not something to be avoided.
Interesting.
And this is where chapter 6 comes in. Handle conflict. I'm intrigued to see what it says.
Me too.
The book has a pretty refreshing take on conflict, actually.
Really?
It challenges the idea that it's always negative, saying that it can be a valuable opportunity to learn and grow if we approach it the right way. It's about shifting your mindset from I need to win to we need to find a solution that works for both of us.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so I see how that could be empowering.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? It's so easy to get defensive or dig in your heels when you feel attacked. Our egos get in the way.
It's true.
The book reminds us that those knee-jerk reactions are driven by our fight or flight response, which might have been helpful for survival back in the day, but not so much for disagreements in modern life.
For sure.
So it's about recognizing that surge of adrenaline, that feeling of being threatened, and consciously choosing to respond, not react.
Right.
Easier said than done.
It is.
The book offers some practical techniques.
Like what?
One is staying neutral during the conflict. It's not about suppressing your emotions. It's about creating space between the stimulus and your response. That you take a step back, take a deep breath, and remind yourself that it's not that serious. Okay, so it's about creating that pause before you react in those habitual patterns. And the book also talks about focusing on the issues. And not the personalities, right?
Exactly.
It's so easy to make it personal, attack someone's character instead of addressing what's actually causing the problem.
Right.
And that just makes things worse.
It does.
Like throwing gasoline on a fire. You have to separate the person from the problem. How do we do that effectively?
The book has some good strategies.
Okay, tell me.
One of the most powerful tools it introduces is I statements.
Oh, I statements. I've heard about these.
They're game changers for communicating during conflicts.
Okay, so give me an example. How would you use an I statement in a conflict?
Let's say your partner is always late and it's driving you crazy. Instead of saying, you're always late, you don't care about my time. Which is accusatory, you could say. I feel frustrated when you're late because it makes me feel like my time isn't respected. You're focusing on how you feel and not attacking them.
Wow. That's a subtle shift.
It is.
But it's so powerful. You're taking ownership of your feelings and expressing them respectfully without blaming them.
The book even gives you a formula.
Okay, what is it?
I feel emotion, situation because reason. I need what you need.
Okay, that's super helpful. I'm going to practice that. The book emphasizes active listening in conflict too, right?
Absolutely.
It's about truly understanding their perspective, even if you don't agree with it.
Right.
You have to let them express themselves without interrupting. You use things like reflective listening to make sure you understand.
For sure.
So it's about creating that space for dialogue where both sides feel heard, even if you disagree.
And then once you've created that space, the book outlines some strategies for resolving the conflict.
Like what?
One is focusing on finding common solutions.
Okay.
It's about going from a win-lose mentality to a win-win-one. You collaborate to find solutions that work for both of you, and no one feels defeated.
And that often involves compromising, right? Compromising isn't about giving up. It's about prioritizing what's important. And being flexible on the less critical things. So everyone's needs are met. And when you can't find a resolution, the book talks about agreeing to disagree.
It's a good skill to have.
It's about recognizing that it's okay to have different views without it damaging the relationship. You respect those differences and find a way to coexist peacefully.
For sure.
Even if you don't always agree.
Sometimes that's the best solution. Just agree to disagree and move on.
And this chapter has lots of tools and exercises, right?
Absolutely.
Like conflict role plays, communication style assessments, and active listening scenarios. It's a really comprehensive toolkit for handling conflict effectively. So we've gone from understanding our emotions to decoding the emotions of others, to building rapport, and even navigating conflict. That's a lot.
It is.
What's next on our emotional intelligence journey?
We're going to talk about the art of conversation.
Okay.
Chapter 7, lead conversations. It's about making everyday interactions better and turning them into engaging and memorable experiences.
Oh, cool.
It's about becoming someone people are drawn to, someone who can guide conversations and make people feel heard.
I'm always trying to improve this skill. I want to be able to spark good conversations.
Yeah.
And make people feel comfortable opening up.
That's great.
What are the key insights in this chapter? I'm ready to take notes.
One of the first things the book talks about is setting conversational goals.
Wait, goals for a conversation. That sounds kind of formal, doesn't it?
It's not as formal as it sounds. It's not about having a rigid agenda. It's more about having an intention for the conversation. Like if your goal might be to learn about other people's work and find collaborations.
Okay.
If you're having dinner with friends, your goal might be to catch up and have fun.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's about being intentional.
Yeah.
Even in casual conversations.
Exactly.
And to lead those conversations well,
Yeah.
you have to master the art of smooth transitions.
For sure.
Have you ever been in a conversation that felt choppy or awkward?
All the time. Yeah.
It's like jumping between topics with no real flow. How do we avoid those awkward conversations?
This chapter has a lot of tips.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those organic links between topics and picking up on cues from the other person
Yeah.
to keep things flowing smoothly.
So you have to be present, paying attention to the conversation, to find those threads that connect the ideas.
Yes, I love that.
And the book also talks about open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Those are so good for deep conversations.
Yeah.
They can't be answered with a yes or no.
Right.
But they invite the other person to share more. And you get to the heart of what they're thinking.
It's about moving past those surface level exchanges.
Yeah, exactly.
The book talks about humor in conversation too.
Oh, I love humor. A good joke can lighten the mood and make people feel comfortable,
Yeah.
but it can be tricky, right?
It can.
What's funny to one person could be offensive to someone else.
Exactly.
Does the book address that?
It does. It says to use humor wisely and be sensitive.
Okay.
You have to read the room, pay attention to those nonverbal cues, and make sure your humor is appropriate.
So you're trying to be both lighthearted and respectful.
Right.
And the book says it's crucial.
To make others feel valued,
Yeah.
that's really important when you're leading conversations.
So it's about making them feel like they matter.
Yeah,
Like what they have to say is important.
exactly.
The book has some exercises for this.
Like,
It mentions conversation mapping.
what's that?
You create a mental roadmap for the conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Outlining the points you want to hit
Oh, yeah?
and the general direction you want it to go in.
Oh, interesting.
It's like a conversational blueprint.
I like that.
It also suggests you write out some open-ended questions beforehand. So you have some conversation starters ready.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
So you're prepared, but also flexible enough to go with the flow.
Right.
And the chapter talks about those potential outcomes too.
Yeah, what is?
Increase confidence in starting conversations, being able to lead those engaging discussions that people enjoy,
Yeah.
and really mastering the art of influencing conversations to create opportunities and build those deep connections.
It's about using conversation to improve your social life.
Exactly.
And of course, it talks about the pitfall.
Like what?
Things like dominating the conversation or choosing topics that no one cares about or not being able to transition smoothly between topics.
Yeah, those are all things I struggle with.
The book gives you tips for dealing with those challenges.
Oh, good.
It encourages you to practice active listening, be adaptable in your approach, and pay attention to how people are reacting to make sure everyone feels comfortable.
So it's about finding that balance between leading and making sure everyone feels included.
Exactly.
This is a great chapter.
It is.
Okay, so we've covered managing our emotions, building rapport, navigating conflict, and even mastering conversations. What's next?
We're diving into boundaries.
Yeah.
Chapter 8. Maintain boundaries. It's about creating those healthy limits that protect your emotional well-being.
Okay, boundaries. This is something I need to work on.
Yeah.
It's so easy to want to please everyone or feel obligated to say yes to everything, even when it drains you.
It can be exhausting.
Yeah, and you end up feeling resentful.
Right.
I'm curious to see what the book says about this.
I think you'll find it insightful. The book explains why boundaries are so important.
Okay.
They prevent burnout.
Mm-hmm.
They promote respect in relationships. And they can even improve your self-esteem.
So it's not about shutting people out. It's about creating a healthy space for yourself in those relationships.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing that your needs matter.
Yeah.
You deserve to be treated with respect. And you get to choose how you spend your time and energy.
For sure.
Okay, so it's about honoring yourself and creating relationships based on mutual respect.
I like that.
I'm starting to see how this relates to emotional intelligence.
It's all connected.
And the book outlines how to set and maintain those boundaries.
Okay. How?
It starts with understanding your personal limits.
Okay.
You have to figure out your non-negotiables.
What do you mean?
Those things you absolutely will not tolerate in your life or relationships.
Okay, so those are like your deal breakers.
Yeah, those things that cross the line and make you feel resentful.
Gotcha.
How do we figure out what those are?
It's about getting clear on what's important to you.
Okay.
What do you need to feel safe and respected? What crosses the line for you personally?
So it could be things like how people talk to you or how they treat your time or even what activities you're willing to do.
Exactly.
It's about knowing your values and sticking to them.
Right?
And it's also about understanding your emotional boundaries, being able to separate your feelings from other people's,
Yeah.
and recognizing that you're not responsible for managing their emotions.
That's a big one.
This is a big one for me. I take on other people's emotions all the time.
Yeah.
And it's so draining.
It is.
So it's about having empathy, but not getting over-involved.
Exactly.
You can care about them and support them without taking on their emotional baggage.
Right.
You offer compassion without getting caught up in their drama.
I like that.
And once you've figured out those boundaries, the next step is communicating them effectively.
Okay.
And that's where assertive communication comes in.
Assertive communication.
Yeah. It sounds so simple, but it's hard to do in real life.
It is.
So what does it look like when it comes to boundaries?
It's about expressing your needs and limits clearly, but respectfully.
Yeah.
Without being aggressive or passive. You're trying to find that balance between honoring yourself
Okay.
and being considerate of others. You're standing up for yourself, but not being a jerk about it.
It's like finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
between being a pushover and a bulldozer.
Exactly.
But saying no is so hard.
It can be.
I feel like I have to say yes to everything,
Yeah.
even when I know it's going to drain me.
Does the book have any advice for that? It reminds us that every time we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. And usually what we're saying no to are our own needs.
So saying no is actually a form of self-care.
Yeah.
You're protecting your time and energy so you can show up better in your relationships and other areas of your life.
Exactly.
And the book gives you tips for saying no gracefully.
Like what?
Things like declining politely,
Okay.
offering alternatives if you can, and emphasizing that you're making this decision for yourself
Yeah.
because of your needs and limitations. So you're being clear and firm, but also respectful. And self-care is also important for maintaining boundaries, right?
Absolutely.
The book reminds us that we can't pour from an empty cup. Self-care is a priority, not a luxury.
It's essential.
Yeah, it's about taking time for yourself to rest, relax, and do things that bring you joy.
Right.
You have to fill your own cup first,
Right.
so you have something to give to others.
Exactly.
What self-care strategies does it recommend?
It says to be mindful of those signs of overwhelm.
Okay.
You know, those things that tell you need a break.
Like feeling tired or irritable or having trouble focusing, or even withdrawing from social situations.
Yeah, those are all red flags.
Oh yeah, I definitely experience all of those. I need to pay more attention to those signs.
They do.
And when we see those signs,
Yeah.
it's time to reinforce our boundaries.
Yeah.
Say no to extra commitments
Yeah.
and take care of ourselves.
It's about listening to your body and honoring those signals.
So it's not selfish to prioritize yourself.
It is not.
It's actually the opposite. It helps you show up better for others. Chapter 8 has a lot of exercises for this too.
Right.
There's a worksheet to help you identify your non-negotiables and role-playing scenarios to practice setting boundaries and reflective journaling to explore your experiences with boundaries.
So you can see where you need to improve.
Exactly.
And the chapter talks about the outcomes.
Like what?
Being able to set those boundaries without feeling guilty, consistently maintaining those boundaries, and having relationships where those boundaries are respected.
That sounds like a healthy relationship.
It does.
It really does.
And of course, it talks about the challenges.
Okay, what are they?
Setting boundaries can be tricky,
Yeah, I can imagine.
especially when you're dealing with people who are used to getting their way, or
Right.
who don't understand personal space.
Like they keep pushing on that fence
Yeah.
to see if they can break through.
Exactly.
But the book gives you tools to deal with those situations, right?
It does.
Like, what do you say when someone ignores your boundaries or tries to guilt you into doing something you don't want to do?
It says to be clear in your communication.
Okay.
Sometimes people just don't know your boundaries, especially if you've never told them.
Right.
So you have to have those tough conversations.
And express your needs respectfully.
Exactly.
But what about those people who just don't get it? They keep crossing the line no matter what you say.
That's when you have to reinforce your boundaries and maybe even set some consequences.
Right.
You might have to limit your contact with them or even end the relationship if it's toxic.
Wow, that's a big step. But sometimes it's necessary to protect yourself.
Yeah.
This chapter is really making me rethink boundaries. They're not about shutting people out, but about creating healthy connections where everyone's needs are respected.
That's a great way to put it.
Boundaries protect you so you can be your best self in your relationships. So now we have those healthy boundaries in place. And we can move on to the final chapter.
Chapter 9.
Beyond the Mirror.
Yeah.
This chapter is like a culmination of everything we've learned.
Yeah.
It's a reflection on how much we've grown and a look ahead to how we can keep growing.
I like that.
It brings everything full circle. We started by looking inward, understanding ourselves, and now we're looking outward and seeing how we can use this knowledge to improve our lives.
Right.
It's like we've been on a quest for emotional intelligence, and we've emerged with all these new tools and skills.
Exactly.
And the chapter starts by acknowledging that, that empowerment we've gained through this journey. We have a deeper understanding of ourselves. We can manage our emotions better. We can empathize with others. And we've built those skills to connect better, navigate conflict, and lead conversations with confidence.
It's quite a transformation.
It is.
The chapter also encourages us to think about how this impacts our lives, our relationships, and even our careers.
I'm already seeing a difference in my own interactions.
That's great.
I'm more aware of my triggers. I'm listening more attentively. I'm setting those boundaries.
Yeah.
And those awkward social situations don't bother me as much.
You've unlocked a new level of confidence.
Yeah, it feels like it.
And the book talks about the ripple effect this can have on others.
Oh, I love that. So it's not just about improving your own life, but about making the world a better place.
Exactly.
As we interact with more empathy and understanding, we create a more positive environment for everyone.
It's like planting seeds of change that grow and spread.
It's like we're emotional intelligence ambassadors.
I love that.
But the chapter also reminds us that mastering this stuff is a lifelong journey.
It's not a destination.
Right. It's an ongoing process.
Exactly.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about learning and growing and knowing that you're always a work in progress.
That's a great way to look at it.
It's about having that beginner's mindset to try new things and embrace those challenges as opportunities to learn.
Yeah, to step outside your comfort zone.
The book talks about continuous learning. You have to seek out challenges, put yourself in different social situations, read a lot, and be open to new ideas.
It's about expanding your understanding of yourself and others.
And the chapter ends with a message that really resonated with me.
What's that?
The person you've become through this journey. More self-aware, emotionally intelligent, socially skilled. That's the person you always had the potential to be.
So it's a powerful reminder.
It is.
You already have everything you need inside of you to create the connections you want.
It's like polishing a diamond.
Yeah.
You're revealing the brilliance that was always there.
And the book emphasizes that every interaction is an opportunity to practice these skills and keep growing.
Every challenge is a chance to learn.
Right.
And every day is a fresh start.
It's woven into everything you do.
I love how this chapter makes me feel empowered and inspired.
Me too.
Like I can take on the world.
And as we cultivate these skills, we inspire others to do the same.
It's a ripple effect. This book has been so valuable for anyone who wants to improve their emotional intelligence and social skills.
It's packed with great information.
Tyler Andrew Cole is so good at explaining these concepts.
He is.
He makes it easy to understand and apply.
Absolutely.
And if you want to take it even further, the book mentions persuasion mastery.
Oh, cool.
It teaches you how to influence others ethically, achieve your goals, and create win-win situations.
So it's like taking those social skills to the next level and becoming more persuasive.
Exactly.
But still being respectful.
I'm going to check that out.
So as we wrap up, what are your biggest takeaways?
What resonated with you the most?
I love the emphasis on self-compassion. It reminds you that it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that you don't have to be perfect to be loved.
I love that. Self-compassion is so important.
It is.
And for me, it's the reminder that every interaction is an opportunity to practice and grow. Every conversation, every conflict, every new person you meet. It's a chance to get better.
You approach those interactions with intention and a willingness to be present.
Exactly.
Those are some great takeaways. And for those listening, remember to check out that free bundle in the video description.
It has the ebook, the executive summary, and all those study notes and key takeaways.
And a link to the audiobook, too, so you can listen on the go.
And we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
Leave a comment below.
Yeah.
And tell us your biggest takeaways.
What resonated with you?
What are you going to implement? What challenges are you facing?
We love hearing from you and creating that community of support.
We're all in this together. Before we sign off, I have a question for you.
What is it?
What's one small step you can take today to implement one of the skills we talked about?
That's a great question.
Maybe practice a mindfulness exercise.
Yeah.
Use an I statement. Or try to find common ground with someone new.
It's those small efforts that make a big difference. So go out there and connect with confidence.
And keep growing.
Until next time.
Keep striving to reach the top. It's crazy how these little changes can make such a difference in our lives, right?
It really is.
Just becoming more aware of our own emotions and learning how to handle those reactions and then developing empathy. It can really transform our relationships and create a more fulfilling experience.
I agree.
This final chapter ties it all together.
Yeah, it does.
It's like you climbed a mountain.
Yeah.
And now you're looking back and seeing how far you've come.
That's a great analogy.
And this chapter celebrates that journey and acknowledges how much we've grown by embracing these principles.
For sure.
Remember, we went from understanding ourselves to understanding others to building rapport and handling conflict and even leading conversations and setting boundaries.
That's a lot.
It is.
It really is.
It's like we leveled up our social skills and now we have all this confidence and connection.
You've unlocked a new level.
But the journey's not over, is it?
It's not, no.
Mastering this stuff is a lifelong process.
It is.
You never really arrive. It's always evolving.
Right.
So it's about embracing that continuous learning, seeking out new challenges, and being open to new things.
You have to stay curious and keep learning.
Yeah, it's like having that beginner's mindset where you're always willing to step outside your comfort zone and try new things.
Absolutely.
You embrace those setbacks as opportunities.
Yeah.
Because you know you're a work in progress.
Beautifully said.
And the chapter ends with this powerful message. The person you've become through this journey. More self-aware, more emotionally intelligent, more socially skilled. That's the person you always had the potential to be.
It's true.
You've just uncovered it, like polishing a diamond.
I'd love that analogy.
It's about becoming more fully yourself.
It is.
And the book reminds us that every interaction is a chance to practice these skills.
Yeah.
Every challenge is a chance to learn. And every day is a fresh start.
It's all about perspective.
Yeah, it really is. So be patient with yourself. This journey takes time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Celebrate those wins along the way. And know that you're not alone.
We're all in this together.
And if you're looking for some extra help, remember to check out that free bundle. It has tons of resources to help you implement all of this.
And leave a comment and share your biggest takeaways.
Yeah, tell us what resonated with you and what you're going to do differently.
We want to hear from you.
Until next time.
Keep striving to reach the top.